Hey, what's up? I'm back at it again. I'm not gonna do the damn Daniel thing. I had it all planned out, but as you can see, I have black Vans, and I'm too lazy for that. So, I am doing this video to revise my prompt for Project 2 for the portfolio. And as you can tell, it may be a little bit different. When I originally did portfolio, or Project 2, I should rather say, I had bronchitis and I filmed it at 9 o'clock at night. So I was sick and I was just like, all right, let me do this. I'm feeling better. It's been like 2 months now. So we're going to film it. And I was going to walk outside and do this, but it's been pouring rain all day in Pullman. So you're going to get stuck with me just walking around my room all day. Because as you can clearly see, I don't know how to flip the camera around. It's rainy AF, bro. Okay, so we'll get started. Quick little sidebar note. I'm rewatching my old Project 2 because I'm lazy, and I think I accidentally just took a bite. Because I'm lazy and I'm using it to revise my prompt, and I'm realized, like, damn, do I always sound like this? All right. So basically, if you don't remember prompt 2, it's basically it's basically describing three people: Freire, Addichie, and Baldwin. I'm gonna mute my mic because my friend's in my Discord and I don't want to bother him. So basically, prompt 2 is basically me describing Freire, Addichie, and Baldwin, what they've done and how they've done it. I'm not going to really change anything because I like the source material I had. I'm just going to make this video a lot smoother. I have more time to edit it and I'm feeling better. So basically, I'm just going to give you the facts and it's going to be quick fire because I don't want to waste your time and you probably don't want to be wasting my time. All right? Okay, so for starters, we're going to talk about James Baldwin. James Baldwin is an African-American social rights activist. This guy right here. Pretty nice guy. Does some pretty great things for society, if I do say so myself. I really wish I had a camera holder, because now I gotta switch hands every time I want to do something. Anyway, James Baldwin, pretty neato kind of dude. He basically fought for social justice through the facts of writing. He used words instead of actions, more or less. He was, at the time of his big career, he was compared to those of, MLK, Malcolm X. He was a social activist during the Civil Rights Act in the 60s. Little backstory, grew up in New York, moved out of the country for a while, came back to New York, then saw what was going on. He did a bunch of stuff in the South to kind of raise awareness, and he basically brought on social change. It's pretty easy, pretty normal stuff to do, I guess. And basically in these interviews, he talks about how the world is kind of crumbling around us and how there's nothing equal about the world we live in, even though some people still believe that the world is equal and just, and it's not. How do YouTubers do this, man? Like, my arm's starting to hurt. Basically, what he's saying is that in the end, it's unjust. The laws are unjust. Even though slavery hasn't been around for like 100 years, actually longer, almost. And, we've gotten rid of a lot of stuff. And there are some people who lived in the North. Like, if you lived in Washington back in the time, you probably didn't know anything about the Civil Rights Act. You probably didn't even know there needed to be one, because a lot of very high northern states were very white, didn't have very many people of color at all. And it kind of led to people being ignorant, people not knowing that there was a problem, so the Civil Rights Act kind of was losing touch. James Baldwin basically fought for it using word. He wrote a buttload of essays, and he just does everything really well. Freire. Paul Freire, artist, writer, activist. My hand just got in the shot. Again, Freire, this dude right there. Freire is a author from South America, or Central America. I probably should Google more stuff. Anyway, he is also another civil rights / social rights activist. But he's fighting for something a little bit different than Baldwin. Freire is going after the education system, and he's going mainly after how he doesn't like the way people are being taught these days. He believes that the creativity is being sucked out of it. And I can give you the story. This is all coming from Pedagogy of the Oppressed, which is probably his most famous book that he's ever written. Basically, to summarize why I'm talking about Freire or what he believed in, for a better statement. He was a man who didn't believe the education system was doing its job. He believed that teachers, and it's not the teacher's fault per se, it's the school system itself, but teachers weren't indulging the students enough. It wasn't about creativity anymore. It wasn't about students finding the answers for themselves. It was about them sitting at a desk, like a good little child, writing down the notes on the PowerPoint, and then cramming it in their head an hour before the test. And he didn't like that. And honestly, it's still like that today. Honestly, classes are dull and boring, and all you ever do is take notes and then study for a test or write a paper. You don't get to express yourself. This is great. I love doing videos. I've always loved editing and stuff like that. And it's great creative freedom. You know how many people in my English class did videos like this? I think I'm the only one who's doing videos. This girl did a PowerPoint slide, but I'm the only one who's doing a video. And I'm getting off topic. Basically, he believed that the education system was sucking the creativity out of everything. He believed it had become dull, boring, and it's killing creative minds of children. Because it's telling kids who are creative, like, no, this is how you do it. You sit here and you write down what's on the slides, or you write down what's ever in the book, and you regurgitate it. You just spit it up when the test comes. You don't remember that. Honestly, think about it. I took 3 years of high school Spanish. I can say, I can make up words like yo soy Groot or whatever, and I can say sentences. I can't have a conversation in Spanish with anybody who actually speaks Spanish, because you're not learning. It doesn't feel like you're learning a language. It feels like you're learning grammar, and then you're just saying, all right, we'll spend 2 weeks learning how to use an adjective, then I'll test you on it, and then we'll never come back to adjectives again. And then the third year of Spanish was better, but it still didn't work, because in Spanish classes a lot in high schools, it's not really about learning to speak it, it's about learning how you properly write Spanish. And I mean, I can see the merit in that, but I'd rather learn how to speak it, you know what I'm saying? Because what, are you going to go to Mexico with a whiteboard and just write down everything you want to ask? And then listening is another problem, because they don't really teach you how to do that. They teach you how to listen to somebody who's going yo, soy, and then you get in Spanish and these guys are going yo, and then you're supposed to know what they meant. Also dialect. So basically, that example is basically a point of they're not teaching you, or they're not letting you be creative. They're not letting you find a way to expressively learn. They're just telling you this is how. They're just giving you the information, and 2 weeks later they want you to give it back to them. And then they don't care anymore. And that's what Freire fought for. Freire fought and brought attention to how he was basically angry. He was basically extremely angry. That anger might not be the right word. He was upset. I like that word better. He was upset that things weren't going the way they should have been. Rewatching this, and I got to the point where I'm talking about Addichie, and I've already expressed how I'm not really a fan of her or her story, and I just remembered I was very mad about it. I think it was partly because I had bronchitis, and I have to watch this 20-minute video where halfway through the video she just starts saying the same thing over and over again. I think that's why I was so mad. I didn't mean nothing against her. I just personally I kind of stood on negative fronts, you know. It was midnight at this point, and I was tired. I was sick, and I just didn't want to watch a 20-minute video and then have to source fed all of it. All right, I'll get back to the actual thing now. This is Addichie, by the way. The video we're talking about is a 20-minute video she did on TED Talk. If you just search her name in TED Talk, you'll find it. All right, let's go. As I can show you here, just for future reference.
And it got to the point, it's about a 20-minute video, and it gets to the point in about 10 minutes. And then it just keeps going and going.
Can you see how frustrated I was about it? Yeah. I do realize how mean I was to Addichie, and I do want to apologize if anybody really cares. Basically, I'll tell you about it. So it's The Danger of a Single Story, and it's about how she grew up in, again, Central America, I believe, Nicaragua or Ecuador. I'm I'm not sure. And she talks about how she read all these English books, and then she thought it was normal, even though a lot of stuff she was reading didn't exist there, like because they were British books, because that's what everybody had. And then she talks about going through her life, writing stories, reading stories, and about how each story is a message and how each story can change the world. This dumb thing out there. And that's basically her point. See TED Talks? I can do her whole point in like under a minute, and it takes you guys like 20 minutes. I know I'm skipping over major details here. I know. But I don't know. I kind of didn't relate to it. I've never, hashtag real, I can't believe I did that. But listen, it gets to the point, or like in my life at least I should say, I've never been moved by one single story. Because life isn't a single story. This is going to sound cliche and dumb and stupid, and I get it, but, and you probably heard it before, life isn't a single story. Life is a million stories. Every minute, every second, every nanosecond, everything's a story. And our life is comprised of these stories. So, while one story can't affect us, one story I don't think can honestly change the world. One story can affect a change that would come, but that one story won't force the change immediately. Nothing changes overnight. That's how this world really works. It's not like on the internet where you can be friends with one dude and then the next day go online and he's like, sorry dude, I'm not your friend anymore, you're an a-hole. It's not how this works. A story can set in motion a chain of actions that will lead to change. But the problem is that one story won't single-handedly cause a change. It'll be all the stories that follow after it that will. Think about it. Think about how many news stories go on. When one piece of news shows up, it's not just that one piece of news. They come back to it like every night as long as there's more data coming in. Because as time progresses, more stuff comes around. It becomes more relevant or more irrelevant, and the news just wants to cling on to it. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I don't believe a single story can change the world. I believe that a single story can set in motion a change, but not that it will change. Nothing is set in stone, and there's no such thing as a single story. Honestly. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it here because I've covered all three. So basically, this is my revision. As you can see, I'm a lot happier to finish it than the last one. And I talked about him. I talked about Baldwin and his social change during the civil rights activist. I talked about Freire. I don't know why I'm out of it. And I talked to finals week got hard. And I talked about Freire and how he tried to change education, but it's still not changing. And I talked about Addichie and my thoughts about a single story. Actually, that kind of ties together. Think about it. Freire wrote a single story about education reform. Even though it's been highly praised and it came out years ago, nothing's changed. Nothing. Little side note for time. Alright, I'm done. Matt Homer is the one actually grading this high from the other Matt. If not, I'm just going to go write my other two prompts and probably go to sleep early because it's finals week and I hate my life. Alright, see ya.